You've got 9 books out now since 2008 when you decided that it's time to.
I mean, 9 is probably not the right number, but I mean, it's close. I mean, I've got 4, 7, 8. How many do I have? I have the trilogy, and I have, okay, 3. I have the 3 from the Legends of Orkney, 3 from the Witches of Orkney, that's 6. And then so Medusa Quest comes out next month. That's 7 and 8. I have Zeus, Medusa Quest, and then the 4 picture books. If you count the picture books, that's 12. So it'll be 12 next month. This month actually, next week when the Medusa Quest comes out, and then the 4th book in the Witches of Orkney comes out in October. That'll be the Mermaid Queen. So I usually put like 1 or 2 books out a year. I don't like to stop writing for anything, so I think it's just a matter of showing up every day, and I have the time, the commitment, and the effort, and I have the series that just makes it easier to write, when you're writing series. So then next year I'll release the Pandora story. Hopefully it'll be ready to release next year. I'm hoping, fingers crossed.
I'm just curious. To me, that's a breakneck schedule, but I'm a painfully slow writer. Do you have books that you've written that are not being published?
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, every author does, I think. And so the thing about, most authors are going to release a book a year, right? Because it's sort of it's a process. Writing is a process, and a lot of people have day jobs or real careers, and that this isn't a full-time commitment for them, right? And for me, this is what I do full-time. I'm a literacy advocate. I travel to schools. I talk to kids about reading. We can talk about between the pages, my whole author visit program that I have as well. Hopefully we'll talk about that. And I write every day, and I write 1,000 words a day. I mean, 1,000 words is only a few pages, right? That's Stephen King writes 2,000 words a day. I'm trying to write between 1,000 and 2,000 words a day, but 1,000 is my goal. Well, if I write 1,000 words a day, I'm going to write, my books are 40, 60, or 80. The Witches of Orkney is 40, the Legends of Olympus is 60, and the Red Sun series is 80,000 words. Okay, so let's say I'm working on one of my Witches of Orkney books. It's 40,000 words. I'm going to have a first draft guaranteed in 45 days, guaranteed. That's how it works. And then I'm going to let it sit for a couple weeks, and then I'm going to spend another 45 days to 2 months, 3 months, whatever, editing, revising it, because that's the hardest part, is editing and revising, right? I'm going to have a book every 6 months, guaranteed, because creativity is a faucet. You see, this is how it works for me anyway, and I can't say how it works for everybody. For me, creativity is a faucet. You got to sit down, you got to turn it on, you got to believe that it's going to happen, and you got to produce, the words. And if you have, like, well, I'm not in the mood today. Well, that's nice, Alane. Sit down anyway and do it anyway, because you may not be in the mood tomorrow either, but you're still going to sit down. See, and like writer's block, like I always tell kids, people always say, well, writing's not that easy. You can't just put it out there, and like, I get writer's block. And I go, okay, well, think of writer's block. Like, just imagine this for a second. Imagine you're a soccer player, right? And you show up to soccer practice, and the coach says, okay, Rob, get out on the field. And you say, coach, I'm really sorry, but I have soccer block right now, and I can't play soccer today. And he'd be like, what are you talking about, Rob? No, it's a thing, coach. I have soccer block. It's not there. I can't feel it. I don't feel the soccer in me. He'd be like, get out there and start playing soccer. It'll come to you, trust me. And you'll be like, well, you don't understand what soccer block is. And he will say, what will he say? That's right. He'll say, you just got to play and you'll get over it. You'll forget. And I know that sounds silly, but it's really the same thing for writing. If you don't think you have something to write about, all you have to do is sit down and allow yourself the opportunity and the freedom to let it come out, or whatever it is, no matter how bad it is, no matter how painful it is. And when you train yourself to do that every day, and a little every day, a little bit every day, a little bit every day, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Just one bite at a time. How do you write an 80,000 word novel? One day at a time, one page at a time, 1,000 words at a time. 1,000 words a day, I'm going to have that novel in 80 days, guaranteed. Am I going to have bad days? Yeah. Am I going to have days I skip? I'm going to have days I write 3,000 words because I get, this massive brain thing. Yeah. And it's all going to average out. As long as I know going into it, that's the commitment I made, then I'm going to come out the other end of it with a finished draft. Is it any good? No, it's terrible. Most first drafts are terrible, right? And that's the difference between authors that go on to publish their stories and authors that don't. If you finish that first draft and you tell yourself, this is the most amazing thing that's ever been written, I should get everybody in my family to read it, you are seriously delusional, because when you're creating something, you're using only one part of your brain, your creative brain. And if you're that person, Rob, that says, well, I can create and edit, revise at the same time, you're lying to yourself, because your brain is divided into two parts. There's the creative part, which is very sensitive, very fragile ego, does not like criticism, likes only to dance and flutter around and be creative, right? And then there's the analytical side of your brain, which knows all the details and all the grammar rules and all the things you should be doing and all the things that are wrong with your story. So when I'm writing, and this is my advice to all writers, is you leave the analytical side out of it. You just tell yourself it doesn't matter how good or bad it is. I'm here to write the story, because you're picking it out of your brain like with a pickaxe, right? Because you don't have a story yet. It's your job to create characters that tell a story, character that has a problem and you find the solution, character, problem, solution. How do I put my characters through all these motions, through all these actions, till they get to the other end of it, and we have a happy resolution, and it was an exciting, fun ride along the way. So that's what your creative brain does. It's literally making stuff up as you go along, day by day, making up. Is it always rational? No. Does it follow the timeline? No. That's not its job. Its job is just to create it, make it now. If you allow your creative brain free rein, you get to the very end and you type favorite 2 words to that end, right? Well, now you have this 80,000 or 60,000 or 40,000 word story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, which you didn't have when you started. And now you let it sit for a couple weeks, as long as you need, and you come back with a fresh brain, and your creative brain is now gone, oh, I've been beautiful, I've done my job, I may now rest. And now your analytical brain comes out, and your analytical brain goes like this, clears its throat. Let me take a look at this now. What is this disaster I have in front of me, right? And it literally goes, this is the worst story I've ever seen. Okay, but the creative brain is not here now. It's just our analytical brain. And it goes, this is wrong, change that sentence, fix that, add more description. This timeline is all wrong. It's okay, because now you have something to work with. You can't build the plane and fly it at the same time. You have to first build the plane, right? And then make it flyable, right? You can't just do them both at the same time, or else you'll spin your wheels. You'll be trying to fix something that you don't even know where your characters are going yet. Imagine editing and revising your first chapter before you've written the second chapter. You don't even know these characters. You don't know what they're doing, where they're going, who they really are. So you have to really, in my opinion, write the story and later bring out that analytical brain, and it will do its job. It's like the blacksmith, the forger, the hammerer. It just hammers and hammers and hammers. Edit, revise, edit, revise, edit, revise, reread, 80 times. And then when I'm all done, it's like I've rewritten the whole story. And you know what I say to myself, Rob? Why? Why can't I do this the first time? Why can't I just get this right the first time? Why, after 12 books, why am I not better at this? And you know what? It's just literally the way it works, in my opinion. This is the way it works. It works for me anyway.
12 books, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you just how, and so now I know that's how it works, and it's painful, it's fun, and it's painful, and you think you're never going to get done. You think you're never going to solve whatever thing that is wrong with it. Like there's some kind of illogical thing, and why would they do that, or why would that happen? It sounds good, but why? Why would that happen? So anyway, that's how it works for me.
Do you plot ahead of time at all, or is it all pantsing? And a follow-up question, do you really keep it that separate? Can you keep the analytical part from jumping forward every so often and go, why'd you write that? Change it.
Yeah, no, okay, well, first, okay, so am I completely fly by the seat of my pants? Yes, and I admire people who can outline in some ways, but I did hear Lee Child is one of my favorite authors. He writes the Jack Reacher series, and I had a chance to hear him speak at a conference a couple years ago, and he was just talking about how what he does when he writes a story is it's like he says he goes to the pantry and he gets all these ingredients. I'm going to get the eggplant, I'm going to get the flour, I'm going to get the sausage, I'm going to get all these ingredients for my story, and then I'm going to start using them like in the kitchen, right? And when I get to about the halfway point, I'm going to look and see if there's anything I didn't use, and I'm going to put that back, and I'm just going to kind of use what I have and just kind of make the story happen. And they asked, he said, and he said, my agent said to me one day, I really don't think this should be written this way. I think it should be written the other way. And he's like, but that's not the way it happened. And the guy just didn't understand it, because to him, it was all happening real time, and you can't change it because that's not the way it happened in his mind. It was like literally happening real time. And he said, I don't want to know the ending to my story, how boring that would be, because why would I want to write something that I already know the ending to? And it really resonated for me, because it just was literally like, yeah, That's who I am. See, if it's okay for Lee Childs, it's okay for Alane Adams, you know. I don't have to know the ending. I don't have to know what I'm doing. What I really need is characters that are engaging, and I need a really compelling problem. I need a compelling antagonist who's going to put them through the ropes and really make it difficult for them to solve their problem. And that's really all I need, and the rest will solve itself. I was working on my story last night. I was working on the Pandora story, and I honestly, I don't ever know what's going to happen. I just kind of go, okay, where are we at now? Okay, what's going to happen? Oh, that's right. I said they were going to have dinner at the bully's house. The bully, you know, there's like a little bully in the story, and her parents, you know, are the boss of the girl's parents. And she goes over there, and I just think it's going to be a nightmare. And as I'm writing it, you know, just the story starts happening, and the character, you don't have, I personally don't think we have control over it. Like, your characters start acting and telling the story, and all of a sudden the bully is getting bullied by her older brother, who's the apple of the eye, you know, the old golden boy who can do no wrong, and he's like giving her noogies, you know, and like elbowing her and kind of really roughing her up. And my character is like, whoa, wait a minute, you can't treat her like that. And she sort of intervenes and helps the bully who's been tormenting her, and they end up becoming friends. And like, I'll be like, and even my character says, if you had told me this morning that I was going to be friends with Daisy Delacourt, I would have told you you were, you know, wrong. And that's really what I'm thinking. Like, if you had told me that's how that story was going to end up, I would have, and I have to decide if that works, you know. I can change my mind and say, well, that doesn't really work. I need them to continue to be antagonists, but I don't think I do. I think it'll work on my story. And these little pieces they're like breadcrumbs, right? They lead you to the next piece, and to the next piece, and to the next piece, and they're just breadcrumbs on a trail, and you just keep following it, and you're throwing out the breadcrumbs, and you're following your own trail. But it's a lot of fun. And if you decide you don't like something, you know what, you can always go back, cut it out. I cut things out all the time, you know, but so that's different. Changing your story is very different than editing and revising. You know what I'm saying? It's very different. If I decide I don't like the way the story's going, I can go back and maybe revise it somehow and say, no, I'm going to just I'm going to cut it. I don't ever delete anything. I cut it out, move it somewhere else, and save it in case I want it. But I know that's very different than critiquing your story, or worrying about whether your story is any good, or worrying about whether you really know. Like, sometimes I don't even really know the central conflict of the story. I'm just trying to figure it out as I'm going along, and I'm getting the story, and I'm getting there, and like, oh, like, okay, I get it now. I see. I don't know how they're gonna. I get it, you know. And you can sort of go back and weave things in. So I think that answered your question.